This is Mike, and this is Simon. Now, Mike's 20 and unemployed. He's been on the dole for a year now. In fact, he's spent most of the past 5 years on the dole. Mike's not ambitious, he just wants enough to survive, saying money symbolises everything he hates about the world. Simon's 27 and is very ambitious. He grew up in a one-parent family and plenty of people said he'd never make it. He ignored them. Simon's now got 10 GCSEs, 3 A-levels, a 2-1 degree and a career with the NatWest Bank. For Simon, a positive attitude and hard work are everything. Who do you identify with, Mike or Simon? Money and work is today's It's My Life. And welcome to It's My Life. For young people, there's always been two big questions they have to face. What do I want from life and how do I go about getting it? Do I want money, fame or just job satisfaction? And how do I get there? Go to university and get a degree or leave school and get a job? But then and again, am I self-confident enough? Have I got the right accent, background? In our audience, young people and experts with strong views on the subject. We'll be hearing from them later. But first, Mike, I mean, you're kind of somebody who's been unemployed for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that?
Well, looking the way I do, you find it fairly hard to get jobs. There's enough people who look like me and not enough jobs to go round, really.
So why not just change your look?
Well, if somebody asked you to dress as I did, would you feel comfortable doing that?
I might do it at weekends, you know. No, but I mean, seriously, you say that you hate money. Why do you hate money?
I think it corrupts everything. It makes life a lot more complicated than it needs to be.
In what way?
Well, when you bring money into things, it encourages greed. I don't think people can be happy when they're constantly asking themselves, have I got enough to get by? Do I need more? Do I want more? It doesn't seem relevant to me.
Have you got something against society in a way?
I've got something against society enforcing its rules upon everybody. I think that maybe we should leave each other to what we feel like doing.
What is your aim in life? What do you want out of life?
Not much, really. I'd like to live just keeping myself happy, inspiring people and maybe just getting through with as minimal problems as I can. I don't really want a career or anything more than just happy life.
Now, Simon, I mean, you had quite a tough upbringing, didn't you?
Yeah.
And, I mean, what drove you on from the kind of background that you came from, where perhaps I'd expect you to look more like Mike than Mike does?
I think for me, coming from a single-parent background, I had a mum that worked 2 jobs to support us and drive me through education. So from that, I took a lot from that, and I basically wanted to reward my mum.
How important was education to you?
Education was vital for me. It kept me on the straight and narrow. It broadened my horizons. I met a lot of different people from different backgrounds, and it gave me my academic qualifications.
And what qualities do you have to succeed in life?
I think the major qualities are self-belief and determination. If you have the self-belief and determination, you can do whatever you want. There are no limits to what you can do. If you believe and have the determination, you can do whatever. Now
I know, you know, the kind of area where you were brought up in. It's one of those places where a lot of people try and drag you back and they'll say, oh, you'll never make it. I mean, did you have a lot of people saying that to you?
Yeah, I had a lot of people. I remember on one occasion I had a teacher. He said I'd never gain the grade at college to go on to university. But you've got to turn that around and use that as a driving factor and let that in itself motivate you to go on.
And what do you think of Mike's attitude?
I haven't got a really strong opinion on his attitude because it's everyone to their own devices, really. But
yeah.
Although I am paying the taxes to support him.
Now, what do you think of Simon's outlook on life?
If it makes him happy, I'm really not concerned. I wish people would stay out of my business as I like to stay out of theirs.
And maybe give you a bit more of his tax money?
Well, you say this about taxes, but I would rather not live with money. It's your society, as I see it, that's forcing me to live this way. So if you won't give me a job purely because of who I am, you should be paying for me, yes.
OK, well, listen, we've heard what Mike said, we've heard what Simon said so far. Let's see now what our audience think. Well, first of all, I thought we'd go to you, Andy, because you're a kind of self-made millionaire. Well, you've made your million, you've lost it. You know, you're on your way to making another one. I mean, what do you think of Mike's attitude there?
Personally, which is wrong, I feel a bit sorry for him. And I feel he doesn't feel sorry, so I shouldn't need to, but I do, because he's missing out on so much. I mean, would I employ him? I probably wouldn't, because it wouldn't be the image that I want to portray to my customers. Should I employ him? I don't know his qualifications, he's probably a really nice guy, and I'm purely making that assumption on the way he looks and how I want to project my company. As far as Simon's concerned, I think he's playing a very cool sort of card on himself, and I think he really deserves phenomenal respect because he's done everything with attitude. I mean, he just lives his life by the same adage I do, only I'm a bit further on the career, and that's quite simply, if you're told no, that's a conditional yes. And yeah, I do begrudge paying my taxes for him. Because to be fair, he's probably, you know, a really nice guy, but he's just abusing the system. And, you know, how many people there are like that, I do not know, but there's obviously going to be an awful lot of them.
Do you think he's got a very negative attitude?
I do, for himself. And I really, you know, if I knew him better, I'm sure he's a really, really, really nice guy, but just the whole image puts me off being able to do anything constructive with him or somebody dressed like that.
Do you think he's cynical?
I think he's very cynical, but I think the sad thing is he's cynical because he hasn't been exposed to the other things. If you make money, it's not just about greed, it's what you do with it. That decides whether you're greedy or whether you're constructive and sensible. And I think that lack of exposure to it is why he has the opinion he has. Now,
Mike, would you say you were cynical and bad attitude and everything else?
I wouldn't say I had a bad attitude. I'd say I'm cynical about money because what's there to be positive about it?
Well, I mean, no, well, I mean, in some ways, what you're saying is, to me, I would say that it was more pessimistic rather than cynical.
Well, maybe so, but...
Perhaps he's cynical because of what he wants the money for.
Well, perhaps, but why am I missing out on anything? I'm living my life for what I feel I need. I don't feel I need money. I don't feel I need to be wealthy or a businessman to be happy, to be what I want to be.
But would you let people like you put the category of businessman like it's a lurgy, like it's an illness or something? But I'm not saying you have to dress like me in a suit to enjoy your life. Think of it as a lifestyle builder. You may enjoy music, you enjoy fashion. Maybe you just don't think you could, but you could actually set yourself up a business, and there would be plenty of people that would fund it, and it may be promoting the type of clothes you're wearing, or it may be music, or it may be... There's a business and everything which just funds your life.
I'm aware of this, but are you also aware that I might not want to be part of any business? I might not want anything to do with that.
But hang on, wait, Atia, go on.
It's not just all about... A job is not about earning money only, it's about contributing to society and being part of the world and being part of society. And, you know, I'm sure that he's got skills which he can contribute, which are useful to other people as well. And even though, I mean, I think it's very commendable that he's so unconcerned about money, because while so many people are driven by money, because I don't think that's wrong as well. But at the same time, you have to get a balance and think of what are the other factors which are important.
Perhaps he's provoking us all and making us think a bit. What do you think?
I mean, I can understand that you want to be happy through your life. Most of us do. But at the end of the day, just because you have a job and earn money doesn't mean that to say that you're actually going to be unhappy. How about working for children in care, or, you know, nursing, or doing something for other people?
Mike?
I have no problem with that. I don't have a problem with work. You're the ones that are assuming I do. I will work any job if I want to do it, and I will work to survive. The only thing is, I don't want to be this ambitious person going for more. I'm quite happy.
Yeah, Sean.
Maybe, I don't know, if you were working in some sort of a part-time job. Do you know what I mean? I'm working at the moment for a registered charity, and I'm working with kids who haven't got anything, do you know what I mean? I'm doing something that I'd have benefited someone doing for me when I was a kid, do you know what I mean? But maybe, you know what I mean, you could use whatever funds you earn to help, you know what I mean, to help other people that are like you. I mean, you don't have to be ambitious in life, do you know what I mean? You don't have to have everything in the world, but one thing that's nice is going home and knowing that everything's paid for you, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that you have to be like that, do you know what I mean? Don't get the wrong end of what I'm saying to you, mate. But maybe there's other benefits to working that you don't even know about, you know what I mean? There's a lot of benefits. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cons, but there's a lot of pros as well, mate.
Go on, sorry.
It was just you saying he should go and work with children or work in a nursing home. What makes you think they'd give him a job? I mean, yes, he may have a lot to give society, but they're going to look at you and go, you're a thug. It doesn't matter how you speak, what's in your heart. People will look at you and they will judge you and they will make your life hell for it.
I think he looks very designer punk in a way. What were you going to say, Tristan?
I was just saying, this lady here, you're on the dole, aren't you? Yeah, sick benefit, and she's working for charities or doing voluntary work. Now, this gentleman here, he's sitting on his bum by the looks of things, doing not a great deal with his life. He could at least go and, like the gentleman over there was saying, just affect someone else by go do some voluntary work. I mean, it's not a fact that you have to earn money and be a millionaire and have a Ferrari.
Would you do voluntary work,
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely.
Have you done any?
No, I haven't.
No?
But I would do some. But at the moment, as it stands, I'm a student, I'm very poor, so I need money to survive.
Well, listen,
so
there's no such thing as a poor student nowadays, is there? You might be poor, but I bet Mummy and Daddy aren't they? I was going to say, Becky, you're very ambitious, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what do you think of Mike, and what would your advice to him be?
I think what you had to say is very important, because I think I'm a strong believer in PMA, positive mental attitude. And when I was doing my degree, when I was younger, I was always seen as the, you know, I liked to go out and party, and my parents were a bit worried that I, you know, wouldn't achieve what I was capable of. But I stuck post-its all around my room with, like, really positive words to myself, saying, you know, you can do it, this, that, and the other. And I got a 2-1 in the end. I got one of the highest 2-1. So I'm a massive believer in that. And I do think, like I say, it's personal, isn't it? I don't judge. What he does with his life isn't right or wrong. But what that lady said there about how you've got to give something back to society, I believe that, definitely. You can't just not...
Who's not bothered about giving anything back to society, but just wants to be rich? Come on, well, yeah. Yeah. What about you, Andre?
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be rich, and I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling a great sense of duty to everybody else who can't be bothered making an effort in their life. I mean, I think, to be honest, everyone's being very generous to Mike. I actually think he's morally a bad person. I think he's doing something that's very wrong, because you can't get away from the unassailable fact that if nobody could be bothered doing anything from society, we'd still live in caves. So I think there's a moral problem. I have a moral problem with Mike. I think he's actually wrong, and I think he should pull his socks up and do something.
Yeah. Oh, hang on, wait. Matt, well, let's give Mike a chance to answer back.
I think you have no idea who I am. You don't know what I give back into society. You accusing me of being morally wrong is wrong within itself, because you do not have the facts. You are just assuming what I am through your perception of me, mainly visual and mainly what little time we've had to talk now.
No, it's the fact you don't feel...
Oh, wait.
Sorry,
we need the microphone.
Can I say I completely disagree with this guy that you're a loser and a dropout and that you're a bad person, because nobody can choose to be a bad person. You're not a bad person. But what I want to say is that I just think the only thing, I think everyone needs some self-ambition. Everyone needs it, whether you want to acknowledge that or not. I think through doing something and achieving it, you can get such a good sense of well-being from that. And I think... You're missing out on something without self-ambition, that's all I would say.
Can I make the point that maybe I am ambitious, just I don't want this career idea.
Hang on, listen, we're going to be talking about this more. We're going to find out what Mike's actually ambitious for. But in part 2, after the break, when we come back, we'll be meeting Penny Rambo here. He's an author, an anarchist and a rock drummer with the band Crass. He's got some very interesting views about money and work, so we'll see you after the break. And welcome back to It's My Life. Now, today we're talking about money and work. Is that all there is to life? With us, we've got Penny Rambo. You're an anarchist, aren't you, Penny?
I am indeed, yeah.
Now, Mike's over there. He's getting castigated for having a point of view which doesn't fit in with the norm. I mean, why do you think that is? Why are people so anti anybody who thinks, well, I I don't really believe.
Well, I think there are one or two sort of fundamental flaws in the arguments that have been put forward here. I mean, once or twice, Mike's been asked or told, well, you're using our taxes. Frankly, I'd prefer my taxes to go towards someone like Mike to live a decent, respectful life, which he obviously has. He doesn't want to conform to the standards which many of you seem to want to conform to. But just remember when you're wagging your finger at the dole that unemployment actually is a government policy. The capitalist system requires its unemployed, and it will create its unemployed. We've seen that time and time again. Those are the sort of fundamental flaws in the sort of moral argument, if that's what you're coming forward with, which I think you really ought to be looking at, not casting finger pointing at, you know, some relatively innocent member of our society.
I mean, obviously, you were getting quite upset by some of the things that people were saying to you before,
yeah.
Mike. I mean, why? Why do you think they do feel so strongly about it? Particularly, what Tristan and Andre there.
Perhaps because it's all they know. They've been brought up to feel this way and have never questioned anything that they're given. I don't know. I can't speak for them, and I wish they'd stop speaking for me.
Ethan. You want to say something like that?
By the sounds of it here, you're trying to say, or it sounds as if you're trying to say that it's trying to sponge off all of us, okay? Now, if you look at it, at some point in everybody's life, no matter who you are, where you come from, you've all sponged off somebody to get in life, okay? It's like when you were younger, who paid for all your clothing, your food? Your parents. Your parents had to go out and work for that money. It's the same with everybody. Everybody is sponged, or so-called sponge, in their life.
Perhaps. Well, he's just spending what his mum and dad paid in taxes now. So maybe that's what it is. I mean, everybody's got this idea that anyone can get on if you work hard. I mean, this is what you say, isn't it, Andy?
Absolutely.
So you reckon anybody?
Anybody.
So in other words, there'd be nobody would be prejudiced against you because you were black, or because you were Asian, or because you came from the wrong kind of class background, or you didn't have the right school tie on.
You would in certain situations. So if you want to look like that, absolutely fine, but pick something in society to do that suits his temperament, his attitude, and also his appearance. But there'll be something if he wants to.
But just generally, let's say you do want to get on and you work hard like Simon. I mean, Simon, were you ever told that you wouldn't get as far as you have because you were black?
I've not really had to encounter racism head-on, but I've been aware of it generally. But my attitude is that racism can hold you back, but it can never prevent you from doing anything you want. And I do keep coming back to this thing about self-belief. And if you think you can do something and you have the belief and determination, you'll do whatever you want.
But is it always fair? I mean, is it sometimes like running a marathon, whereas every other runner runs 26 miles, you have to run 52?
Yeah, but in a way that motivates you even more. There is saying that if you do a job and you're black, you have to do like 110% more than if it was someone white. And that is, it drives you and it pushes you a lot more.
I mean, what about you, Sean? Have you ever, come across discrimination at work or not got a job because of it?
When I was in university, right, I came across a lot of really bad discrimination off other students because my family weren't middle class, because I was from Salford, well, not from Salford, but because I hung around with a lot of people from Salford, there's a lot of wars there between the students and locals, and I'm not going to speak to you, do you know what I mean? Like him there, he seems like an intelligent young lad, do you know what I mean? Maybe he's been, I don't know, maybe he's been chastised by that many people for the way he looks, and he's had that many bad, comments go his way and that much negativity that he doesn't want to be around people, you know what I mean? He doesn't have to have a career, but maybe he's fed up with being, you know what I mean, I weren't slating you before, I was just giving you advice, but, you know what I mean, if people want to be how they want to be, they should be, but yeah, I did encounter a lot of prejudice off middle-class people when I was at uni.
I mean, Asghar, you work with a lot of young Asian lads, don't you, up in Oldham. Yeah. I mean, what kind of experiences did they... Because obviously everyone's aware of, that there were riots and everything like that.
Yeah. I work with a lot of young Asian lads, a lot of white young lads, a lot as well. I mean, after riots, I had a lot of problems, when I started my new job, trying to make friends, because they were putting all the Asians all in one boat. So I had that, sorry, I forgot your name. Simon was saying that you have to work that 110% more. That's what I had to do. when I started my new job, because I was Asian, and unfortunately there was a lot of Asians involved in the riots, and the media and the public saying, oh, they like this, they like that. But I'm worked with white young lads, and I work with Asian young lads, and they don't have a problem getting along with each other, and there's no barriers between each other. There's just the media and the outside people view, and that's what makes it harder for me to, you know, to get along with other people.
I mean, what about people who are privileged? I mean, a lot of people would think you were quite privileged, Michelle. You know, you were on the TV programme that time, weren't you? You know, what is it? I can't live without designer labels and stuff. I mean, do you actually think it is easier if you come from quite a privileged background and you're nicely turned out and talk nice?
I think you can have more opportunities, yeah, but going back to what people have been saying, it does depend on the individual. If you've got the motivation within yourself and the self-belief, then you can do whatever you want to do. I'm not saying that coming from a privileged background doesn't give you advantages, because it does, because extra money can help a lot to bring you forward. But at the end of the day, it's within you, and if you really strongly want to do something and you believe in it enough, you can do it.
Is it about money, though, that brings you forward? Because what I've always thought was, for a lot of people, you know, especially from like the areas where Simon comes from, Asghar comes from, you kind of grow up thinking you're not as good as everybody else, because people who have a lot of money often do think that they're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
They actually think it makes them a better person because they've got more money. Oh, sorry. What?
I don't think the privileged background's got anything to do with the money. I think you might be able to travel more or have nicer clothes.
No, you have more self-confidence, more inner belief.
I don't know if you do.
I think you do, yes.
No, well, I don't think it's just that, because how your parents treat you, like, just because your parents have got a lot of money doesn't mean they necessarily love you more. And I think self-belief comes a lot from having self-worth deep down. And if your parents can instill that, however much money they've got, they can make you feel valuable and accepted and loved, and that can make you feel strong and worthwhile. And that doesn't depend on how much money you've got.
Well, would you think that'd be the same if you grew up in an area where you're surrounded by what society might call the trappings of failure, and therefore you might think of yourself as a failure?
There's the trappings of good stuff as well, though. You can get really stuck on just being money conscious, and I don't think that's good either.
Yeah.
Pros and cons.
Okay. Penny, well, what would you think? I mean, you know what Hannah said there, I agreed with, but it did come from quite a middle-class sort of point of view, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to be the same class as I come from, and I think one of the uses of privilege, if that's what we're talking about, is to employ privilege to those who don't have it. It always insults me to see people using privilege for their own ends, for their own means. The very point of an education, to my mind, is to broaden your privilege, your advantage, as widely within society as possible, and that happens to be a downward movement in terms of sort of social judgment. It's an absolute abuse of the sort of privileged education I've had to employ myself as a businessman. There are the needy, there are the people who have deprived lives. And the only use of my education and my background is to take that, everything I can to them, be it money, be it words, be it anything that I own. And I actually believe that that, in his way, is what Mike's attempting to do. He hasn't come up with saying it, but he's certainly saying that to me before we came on the show.
OK, well, listen, we're going to be talking more about this, but after the break, we're going to be talking to this young lady here, Rachel, and Rachel's, well, she says that she doesn't actually want to be rich, and you can find out why and what her plan is after the break. And welcome back to It's My Life. Money and work. A lot of young people are accused of all just wanting to be rich and famous and do it all quick. But we've got Rachel here. What, you're 19?
Yeah.
18. And you don't want to be rich. Why?
No. Well, for me, my faith, I'm a Christian, and my faith is the most important thing to me. I think if I went and started pursuing, you know, a career and like getting really ambitious and looking for money, then it would be really hard for me to keep my focus on God and on what He's calling me to do, and it'd be so much easier for me to become materialistic and really put value in that, which I don't think has as much value as society puts in it. I think that, you know, some Christians can be rich and they can handle being rich and be able to not make it their focus of their life, but for me, I know that if I became rich, I would become materialistic, and that would be my focus, and I don't want it to be, because I want, you know, my God and my faith to be my focus, and to be focusing on other people around me rather than on what society says is what we all need to make us happy, because I don't believe that it does necessarily.
But I mean, if you were rich, what would you do that you don't do now?
What would I do?
Would you feel good about yourself?
I don't think I'd feel good about myself, but I know that I'd probably spend a lot more time thinking about what I could buy next, what I could get next, instead of focusing on what I do focus on is, you know, helping other people, because I'm a youth worker, and helping the kids, and making sure that that's my focus, and that that's what God's called me to do, I believe. And if I was, you know, it's so easy if you start getting rich and you start getting into materialism, buying the next thing, the best thing, it's always going to be that. Whereas I think that that's not even going to last, because like when we die, you don't take all that with you, and when you look back at your life, you're going to go, oh, I got loads of money, I worked loads, but did you actually, you know, get to know your family really well, or spend loads of time with them, and were they, you know, more important, or what you're going to actually take with you when you die?
I mean that's fair enough. I mean, Andy, nobody on the deathbed says, I wish I spent more time in the office, do they?
They don't, you're absolutely right. But the frustration I have is Rachel and the chap next to me was talking before. I've known them the same amount of time as I've known Mike, and their attitude oozes quality, absolute quality, because their beliefs are very different to mine, but they're enthusiastic about it, they believe in what they're doing, they believe in themselves, they're respectable, and I think that's fantastic.
You don't understand that maybe I am enthusiastic about things. They're just things that you yourself don't care about.
To be fair, on this programme, we don't know what it is. I mean, tell us what you're enthusiastic about. What turns you on? And it could be, you know, as...
Well, go on, let them...
Art, music, things like that. The more important to me than any amount of money could be. I want people to get on a bit better, people to accept people a bit better. And I try to work to present a positive image of people like me as being intelligent, caring people. I don't want money, but what's that got to do with it?
But how are you, you know, if you're a caring person, how are you showing that? How is that manifesting itself in life?
Well, he's just got a point. He's just got a point of view. But if we can move on, is there anyone who agrees with what Rachel said? You know that? Oh, Hannah. But I mean, Hannah. I mean, you're a Christian as well. So is it important not to be rich?
I am, yeah. I don't think it's important not to be rich, but I think it's important to do something like Penny was saying as well, that where you can benefit society. I think if we're going to move forward as a society, there's no point half of us moving forward into sort of richness and success and leaving another bunch of people behind who haven't perhaps got the same motivation or the same positivity. And just the way everyone's been so negative towards Mike, I think is quite unhelpful in a sense. If we want people to kind of get along and do things like art and music that he's interested in, we need to be sitting here being positive and being encouraging and speaking things over him that are going to enable him to go out and do that. And obviously, for whatever reason, he's got quite a negative view of society and doesn't feel like he's a part of things, and we need to be, you know, encouraging him into that and encouraging him into his art and music and what he loves, and maybe he will then give back into society in terms of art and music, and who knows, he might be an incredibly creative genius and we might all really benefit from having him do stuff.
An extension to that, I'd just like to ask you exactly what are you giving to society? I mean, there's this sort of amazing assumption that simply because you're in business, because you're serving part of the capitalist system, you actually said that Mike wasn't respectable. I'd rather like you to define exactly what you mean by respectable. What exactly are you giving society? In what way are you helping us, the people who actually live within this society?
The people we employ are obviously, they're paying their taxes, we were saying before, therefore we're creating this wealth. But you see, we confuse the words...
No, sorry, excuse me, which wealth are you creating? Are the people who work for you getting wealthy?
Well, it's definition of wealth, isn't it?
Are they getting comparatively wealthy to yourself?
They should be. I mean, yes.
I don't think so. I think you were introduced as a millionaire second time round.
Trying.
How many have you got on your staff that sort of have those aspirations or hope or chance?
They've all got the same wealth as me at the moment because I'm trying again.
Will they have in 2 years if you succeed?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
Have you got
I'm not
common
here to
share?
defend that now, but actually I could defend
They're
that.
shareholders. They're all shareholders in your company.
Every single person in the company.
Well, we've got a moral capitalist amongst us, and I'm glad to meet you. But there are few, and you're an exception.
I mean, Tristan, you're looking all very disapproving of all this anarchy and... You know, I mean, would you do what Rachel does and work for nothing? And...
I think it's a fantastic ideal, and if you, I think what it is basically if you can support yourself and you can buy your own clothes, buy your own food, pay for a roof over your head, then that's fair enough. If you don't have any ambition to go anywhere, then that's fine. Get a job in McDonald's and do that, so long as it pays for it.
Well, ambition to go where, when you say ambition to go anywhere?
Well, ambition to do something with your life, to make a difference.
Well, she is doing something with her life. She's making a difference,
Well,
isn't
fair
she?
enough, and then she's quite happy doing that. It's not a problem. It's people who sit on the dole, who, this gentleman here, he's interested in art and music. Fantastic. What are you doing to go towards that?
Well,
he's not exactly going to sell it, is he? Because he doesn't want money.
Van Gogh never sold a painting, did he?
Rack after rack of
Crying
pieces
Boy
of that.
sold millions.
But he's not going to sell it, is he? Do you know what I mean? He's just different to everyone else. I think he's an intelligent person, and I think he'll probably go further than you.
At you.
I just want to take people up on this thing that ambition necessarily has to equate with wanting more money, because there are many people who are ambitious in loads of different fields who are not doing it for the money, and it's just like people are saying, oh well, I don't want to work for money, so I'm not ambitious. But you did say that ambition, I mean, you don't have to be, you said, okay, fine, don't be ambitious, work in McDonald's. But, I mean, you're equating it to the money issue, and I don't think it necessarily is. I might be ambitious in my field, and I'm not doing it for the money. I know that it's going to be hard work for me to get to where I want to go. But it's not because of the money that I'm doing it. I want to do something which is going to benefit society and myself as well.
Where do you want to go?
I'm currently studying medicine.
Oh, you'll make a fortune. 800 quid a shift, innit, sometimes. Hang on, wait a minute. Sebastian, you've got something to say, yeah. Let's see, because you've not spoken, have you? This bit.
What it is, basically, I think everybody should leave Mike alone, because I think Mike is actually exercising his own freedom, and if he thinks art and obviously music is his subject, something that makes him look more like a creative person, so he can give more back in society. And the second thing as well, I mean, you talk about tax. Well, at the end of the day, I think people that do earn money out there should give a bit back to society and tax for people like Mike, because obviously people out there won't give him the chance to get a job. So I think Mike's a really genius and crazy person. I think people should respect that. Talk less about him and let him get on with his life.
Yeah. Simon, what do you think about what people have said out here so far? Because, I mean, you work, you've got a good job.
Yeah, I personally feel very uncomfortable about slating Mike. He's basically determining his own lifestyle, the road he wants to go down, and good luck to him.
Oh, go on, Samana.
Just by making this point, I don't want to like judge anybody who hasn't got a job or anything, but I think that it's all very well and good to say that you don't want money and everything, but the fact is, in the society, money does make the world go round, and we need to live in the real world, really. You do need to have people who are making money and giving them back as well. People who try to make money, and even if they don't succeed in it, at least they're trying to do it. And while they're getting on their way, the people who do have the money, then they should give back to the society.
All right. Penny.
Yeah, I get very uncomfortable about constantly talking about a society. What is this society? A tiny amount of the wealth of this society is in the hands of a minute number of people. Meanwhile, thousands upon millions of people are living horrifically underprivileged lives. They're not given an education, they're not given a health service, they're not given bugger all. And yet this is the society. What is this dream we're talking about? What is the it that we're working towards? What is it? Do we want to be a part of those horrific monsters sitting at the top there, writing their cheques to nowhere? I don't, personally. I think I am a member of society, and those guys up there, they're the people who've dropped out because they've never dropped in. They've never got real to the fact that there's some importance about life beyond slavery of millions upon millions of people. 3/4 of the world are starving, and we talk about a society.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was it? The richest 365 people in the world earn more than the poorest 1 billion. So it's quite frightening, really. Well, we've heard what our audience have to say about money and work, and for the final word tonight, we'll go to our key guests, Mike and Simon. Mike, a lot of people, I mean, there are quite a few people on your side as well out there. Did you think that, I mean, what do you think about your place in society now, and from what you've heard of what people had to say out there, a lot of different opinions?
I think you talk a lot about society that in reality doesn't exist. This is something that the government tells you exists, and you're forced to believe it. If there was any society, people wouldn't treat each other the way they do. You can't walk down the street without somebody giving you dirty looks or something, and you can't walk out of your house without thinking, oh, am I ready to go out? That's not society. This is what you believe society is just other people's perceptions of you. And none of you are in any way trying to work on what's inside yourself, who you are. You're trying to do things for other people.
So live your life through the eyes of other people, or almost like the way perhaps you're brainwashed. Are you brainwashed and living your life through other people's perceptions of you, Simon?
I'm doing virtually everything for me. So I won't say I'm being brainwashed by society. What I took from the debate, though, was there was this thing about money and ambition. You can be ambitious and not look for money. Money's not the driving force in my life. My driving force is to be happy.
OK, and you get the final word tonight, Mike.
Well, I find, from talking to Simon, I found him an incredibly nice person and a decent human being. He has no problem with the way I live my life. He has no problem with me or people like me, because he is a respectable, open-minded citizen who maybe does want some money, wants a bit of success, but that's just his idea of success. He understands that not all people want the same sort of success.
It'd be a boring world if we did.
Yeah.
Listen, thanks a lot, Mike. Thank you, Simon. Well, you can be sure that whatever anyone else says, both Mike and Simon are going to go down the road they choose. That's the message that's coming out from today's discussions. Young people are not going to do what other people tell them. They're going to decide for themselves. So next time from It's My Life, think positive and goodbye.